Hi, everybody. Welcome to my channel. My name is Shena Major and I'm your life coach. And today I want to talk to you about boundaries. This is an easy guide to learning how to set boundaries for yourself. For years, I had always struggled with setting boundaries and ended up in a lot of really bad relationships. But today I value who I am and I've learned to make decisions that are right for me. And a big part of getting to that point for me was learning how to set boundaries. And here are just a few things to begin your healing journey, or an additional resource if you've already been working in this area of your life already. So what does it mean to set a boundary? Boundaries can be limits we set with other people to keep ourselves safe. So we're working on keeping our emotional integrity, physical, mental, and spiritual integrity in place. The boundary should be focused on keeping yourself in and not using your energy to keep someone else out. What does it mean to set a boundary? When you're setting a boundary, it might mean that you experience a little bit of guilt or you're afraid of hurting someone else's feelings. So when you do that, it stops you from doing what's best for you. And a lot of times, this can be based out of codependency, because we're always so used to taking care of other people and we're always so concerned about how other people are feeling. The other reason, when you set a boundary, it might mean that you are fearing being disliked or rejected. But most likely, if someone is crossing a boundary and you need to put a boundary in place for them, they're not respecting you. So you don't have to worry about feeling rejected, because in a sense, they already are when they disvalue you and not take you seriously as a person. The next thing is steps to setting boundaries. The first thing you want to do is identify what boundaries are being crossed and by whom. This is really important. And sometimes when we're so stuck and inside a relationship that is unhealthy and hurting us, we don't even realize people are crossing them. So it's going to be really important for you to be self-aware and recognizing people in your life or situations where you need to keep a boundary in place. Second step is to know the benefits of setting a better boundary. By setting this boundary, how will you feel and how will you become a better person by doing this? How will things change for you as a result of setting a boundary? And how does it feel when you set a boundary and you've crossed it? So those are some things to keep in mind. And then obviously the third step is to begin setting the boundary. Now, here are some things to keep in mind when you set your boundary. Know what you won't tolerate. Know what is not acceptable for you. And a good way to figure this out is, if something doesn't feel right, it's probably wrong. And in most cases, you would need to put a boundary in place. The second is being aware of your feelings, being firm in your decision. So regardless of what anybody else thinks about you, you're making a decision for yourself that is right, that honors you, and that you feel good about. So be firm with that boundary. Practice self-awareness. Always consider your past and your present. Look at the person you were and to the person you want to become, and know that that boundary is going to help you move towards being the person you want to become. Recognize that self-love is important. Setting boundaries is all about loving yourself enough to say, I'm not going to allow someone to treat me this way any longer. And I'm going to put a boundary in place that keeps myself in, so I don't compromise my integrity any longer or what I stand for. Number 8 is show a heart of gratitude. And this, really what I mean by this is just be thankful that you're aware enough now to know that you need to make some changes and that you need to do something differently, and be thankful for that. Be honest with yourself when setting the boundary. Really take a look in the mirror and see what it is that you can change about you as you're putting your boundary in place. And also be honest with yourself about how you're being treated by another person. A lot of times when we're in relationships that are toxic or hurtful, we make excuses for the other person, and we keep allowing them to treat us a certain way, even though we know it's not okay and it's not right. We're going to avoid codependence when setting a boundary. This is so important that we're not going to people please. We're going to please ourselves, and that's okay. It's okay to feel pleased with how you're not going to let anyone treat you any longer. And lastly, I have show respect for yourself. When you're setting boundaries, it's showing that you respect who you are. When you look in that mirror and you see yourself, you're thinking, I care about me and I love myself enough to set some boundaries and to start making some positive changes. Now, here I give you an example of setting a boundary. Here's a scenario. When a friend or family member calls me and wants me to do something for them or go somewhere with them, I always say yes right away. So the boundary from now on, when I get asked to do something or go somewhere, instead of saying yes right away, I will say something like this. Thank you for thinking of me and wanting to help you out or go to such and such a place with you. But I'll need X amount of time to think about it before I give you my answer. And if that person respects who you are, they're going to understand that, or they'll recognize they don't have that space that you need before you give their answer, and they'll just kindly find someone else to ask. And then you still feel good about you. You've still held on to yourself, and you respected the other person with your kind response. All right. So there you have it. I hope you have found this helpful. If you want to learn more about leaving an unhealthy relationship behind for good and learning to love yourself, you can go to shenamajor.com. And also I have a free book called You Can Heal. And you can find that at youcanheal.shenamajor.com. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye now.